Hello and welcome to this video on submitting jobs to Integr8tor. So Integr8tor Cockpit is where we're going to start first, and the submit job function is the one that is available to every Integr8tor user. So that's what we'll do first, submit job. In the browse, we can simply pick up a zip file or TGZ or any kind of archive. And then we have some options here, which I'm all going to ignore at this point, because this is just a quick example. I'm not going to enter any of the information in this first one. So we'll just say add. What will happen is that the software will take in the job that we have submitted, and it will do so and will start processing the job. So it started processing this particular job. So to submit new job, to go over some of the options that we have available. So when we do browse, I can pick up maybe a text file together with a zip file like this. And if we submit it this way, Integr8tor will treat these as part of the same job. Now we can also go and submit multiple jobs at the same time by just simply doing browse and then picking up a zip file and a second zip file like this. And now we're going to tell it that each one of these zip files are a separate job. They should be treated. They should get their own ID. So we switch on multiple jobs. So some of the other options that we have, you can set the priority when you launch it. If you have the drill tool adjustment license, you can do the tolerance file that you can define the scripts to change the sizes. You can also tell it to stop for the buildup, and it will stop at that point and will allow you to use our optional link with the UStack Polar Speed Stack. To keep the original registration, occasionally it might be helpful to leave the registration as it is in the data. So we can do that. The preferred import format, if you are getting a data set from your customer that has, for example, ODB and Gerber, and you know that this customer wants you to use the Gerber, then while you submit the job, you can already tell the system that just take the Gerber as an example. If you have an archive that has a password, you can simply enter that over here. There's no need to extract the zip file first and then zip it up again. Just enter the password here and it will take care of it. The PCB thickness, here you can set what the thickness of the PCB is. That's one of the parameters that's being used for example, for aspect ratios and copper counts. So if you do not enter anything, it will take the default that has been configured on your system. Solder mask color, you can choose from any of the available colors here. For example, let's say that we do blue, and the legend color, white, as an example of here. So if you do not know these colors up front, obviously you don't enter them, and you can always change them afterwards and to update the pictures. Surface finish, any of the available options you can pick up. And these are all system parameters, standard parameters. And then you can enter in your own information, like for example, your customer name. Training. So and then when we hit add, at this point, we're gonna get 2 IDs because we set multiple jobs. So that is submit job. That's how that works. A optional method of entering data into the system is by making Integr8tor email enabled. What that means is that you can actually have Integrator look at a email box, and it will pull down all the emails that are in that email box and start processing them. I have an example for that over here. I got an email that was sent to me by my imaginary customer. And what I will do is I'm going to now forward this into my integrator. So I simply forward the email, and I have a special email address. In my case, it's integrator@ucamco.us. And then over here, we have it such that we can set up keywords or key parameters that you simply enter in on the command line. And so I'm adding in C:submit methods for the customer name. And I can say, mask color, let's say black, and silk color, white, as an example. And then when I send this email, it will, in my case, my system is set up to check for emails every 60 seconds. And it will go in again every minute to pull down the email, and when it does so, it will start processing that job. So while we wait for that to come in, I will show you a third method. The third method is the hot folder method, and that is basically you define folders on your system, and those folders you just simply drop data in, and I'm gonna pick one up here from my integrator demo job. So let's say that I'm gonna take this guy, and I'm basically just doing drag and drop into that folder. And what will happen is that Integrator is monitoring these folders, and at a certain moment will pick up the content of it and start processing it. And once it picks it up, it will remove it out of the folder. So we'll leave that one there. And then finally, the fourth method is submitting the data with what we call web integration. And for that, I'll open up this folder so you can see what will happen. Let me minimize this like that. So I created, this is actually part of the Integrator default installation. If you have web integration as an optional input method, you are able to go to you can do your HTTP and then the name of your integrator server. In my case, it's called WS. We always use 8080. And then we have either a web integration or a web integration _mil. So I'm using the _mil because I'm located in North America and US, where we use mils. So now here I can say, okay, I'll pick up a customer, just give it a reference. And now my solder mask, I'm gonna do blue, and legend, I'm gonna do green. And then the thickness, let's say that I want to use 93. I'm gonna do a choose file. And I will pick up, let's say this one, and say open and submit. So you see what happens is that in that web folder, we're getting a .xjd file and a .zip file. So the zip file is the archive, and the xjd is the information that we just entered via our little mini website. Yeah, so that's how that's done. Again, this will be picked up by Integrator. The information will be used by Integrator to the colors and everything that we have just entered. So let's close this. For the email methods, I want to also show you that Integrator will send out an email that says, hey, I got this email and you entered these parameters. So was that? And we can go have a look. So the email submit, this was the one that was done with email. And if we go into the mail message, then you can see that we can actually read the email. I double clicked it on this time, but you can also simply do a single click, and then you can read the content of that email over here. Yeah. So that's how we can use the email mechanism. So we see that the content of the two other methods that I mentioned, so here's the hot folder one is being processed and the web folder one is being processed. The hot folder one, I assigned it to be customer Ucamco, and the web folder is the one that I entered on the little web form. Yeah. So you'll notice over here that, just as an example, also while we are here, it's not a true submit method, but it is two methods that you need to know about as well. One of them is modified job. So modified job is, when I look at my email message, I actually did not enter it correctly what the email said. I didn't say mask orange and legend black. I said black and white. So I can go in here very simply and say, okay, this needs to be orange and this needs to be black. And then when I save this, the only thing what will happen is that the colors of the pictures will get changed. This does not affect the rest of the job, so there's no need to reprocess the entire job for this. So we get, there's our hot folder submitted job, which was simply done with the standard colors, which is green and white, because I didn't specify anything on the folders. And here is our web submitted one. And then finally, after we did the modified job, we now have our orange and black. So while we're here, I also want to touch upon the resubmit job. Remember how I mentioned that while we did the submit job, you can tell it to that you prefer the Gerber over the ODB as an example. Well, what if you don't know that? The first time that you're getting this job, you probably don't know this yet, but you will see it here in the data sets. I actually don't have an example for this, but if you would see over here that it would take ODB and that it would also have information in there for Gerber. So you will be able to look at each one of those data sets and then look at it. And you might have maybe like a PDF or a text file that says, please use the Gerber data. Well, at that point, you would do a resubmit. And over here in the preferred format, you would then choose Gerber over ODB and just hit resubmit. And that's all you need to do.